Welcome back, Motorheads. This is Wagon Wednesday Finds on Facebook Marketplace. First got 1956 Chrysler for $13,000. Well, this is definitely a great looking old 56 Chrysler, and it looks to be fairly complete, and from the pictures it looks to be in pretty decent condition. Now, I do think $13,000 is a little bit on the high end for this particular wagon, but I still think this would make somebody a very nice little project wagon, especially if you're into these old Chryslers. But what's your guys' thoughts on this old Chrysler and that price tag? Make sure you leave it down in the comments. Up next, got 1959 Edsel for $4,500. Now, this is pretty cool for an Edsel. I've actually seen this car here in person over on Route 66 over in Santa Rosa, New Mexico. But the old Edsel beside it, that one right there is more intriguing to me. But the wagon's still pretty cool. And also, this is at the Route 66 Car Museum there in Santa Rosa. So if this old Edsel wagon is not your cup of tea, or you don't see anything out in the parking lot that's very intriguing, head on into the museum. It does cost you a couple bucks to walk through, but he definitely has a lot of cool things on the inside. It's definitely worth taking a look. Up next, got 1963 Pontiac for $8,500. Now, even though I'm a sucker for a Pontiac and I dig the hell out of this wagon, I still think the seller here may have fell and bumped his head asking $8,500. I don't think this wagon's worth $8,500. Now, that's my personal thoughts on it. Looking at the pictures, I don't see anything here that screams $8,500. I just don't. But what do you guys think of this old Pontiac? Is he barking up the wrong tree with $8,500? He right on the mark? Make sure you leave it down in the comments. Remember, if you guys are enjoying our content, make sure you hit that like button, even comment. It definitely helps us out in the algorithm. Up next, got 1957 DeSoto for $2,500. Now, if you're into wagons and you're definitely into something a little unique, something that not everybody has, this old DeSoto might be right up your alley, because you don't come across these very often. This one here, from the pictures, it appears to be fairly solid and looks like it'd be a perfect candidate for somebody for a good wagon project. I would be keeping my fingers crossed that the seller actually has them two pieces of rear glass, because I have a feeling those are going to be very hard to find. But if he's got it, I think this would make somebody a damn good project. But what do you guys think? Leave it down in the comments. Up next, got 1991 Chevrolet for $500. Now, if you want yourself a very cheap B-body wagon, then here it is. Now, you have to disregard all the radius fender wells and all that stuff right there, which I think kind of made that look like crap. But, you know, if you need parts, I think this makes somebody a great little parts car. You know, but 500 bucks, if you got a motor and transmission sitting around, this might be a perfect candidate to shove that motor and transmission in it and go have a little bit of fun. But what do you guys think? Leave it in the comments. Next, got 1987 Chevrolet Cavalier for $7,500. Now, this one here definitely screams that you like oddball stuff. And me, I absolutely dig this thing here. Not for $7,500, but I dig this little wagon. And if the price was right, I would probably take my ass up to Michigan and pick this thing up, because I think it'd be a blast to play with. You know, looking at the limited pictures they have supplied, you know it's going to take quite a bit of work to get this thing back up and have it track ready. But it's still pretty dang cool. But what do you guys think? Next, got 1968 Chevrolet for $12,500. Now, this here is definitely another cool wagon, and I dig it, but I just ain't on board with that price tag at $12,500. I've seen some that are a little bit better shape than this one here for a lot less money. But, you know, that's just my personal thoughts on this one here. Do I think it's cool? Absolutely. I think it's a very cool wagon, and it'd be a blast to own. But my personal feeling is not at $12,500. It's not there. I just don't see that car being $12,500. People got to get rid of this mentality. Just because it's old, it's worth a damn fortune, because it's not. At the end of the day, you can pay $2 for a piece of poopy, or you can pay $200,000 for a piece of poopy. But what's your guys' thoughts on this old Chevy wagon here, and what do you think of that price? Next, got 1974 Ford for $2,500. Now, this here is very intriguing. Now, I'm going to have to leave this to you Ford guys to correct me if I'm wrong. I don't recall them ever making a two-door Torino wagon. In the 70s, the only thing I recall is the Pinto. But either which way, $2,500, if this thing is done fairly decently, this might be worth picking up and doing something with. So come on, all you Ford people out there, let us know. Did they actually make a two-door Torino wagon? Next, got a 1963 Ford for $17,000. Now, this is definitely one cool old wagon, and I'm digging the crap out of this old Ford here. I actually like the patina on this one here. I know a lot of guys are not on board with the patina. I can take patina when it's in a natural state. I like it on certain things, but not everything. Not everything has to be patina. So a lot of guys, when they try to make a modern vehicle with all that patina, I think they kind of ruin them that way. You know, natural is always the best. Now, $17,000 I think is on the high side, but this is still a very cool wagon. But what do you guys think of this old Ford here? Leave it down in the comments. Next, got a 1954 Ford for $55,000. Now we got a damn great looking old Ford wagon right here. Now that $55,000 price tag definitely gonna make a dent in somebody's pocket if you just absolutely have to have this beautiful wagon. But overall, from the pictures, this is a damn good looking wagon. It's very cool. I like about everything they've done with this one here. Other than the chop, I'm not necessarily a big fan of the chop, but it actually is working on this car, and it damn sure came out nice. So I definitely think this was a well thought out, well executed build here. So if you got deep pockets and money is no object, this might be right up your alley. This might look great in your garage. So what do you guys think? Is he asking too much money for this? Is he right on the mark? Would you dish out $55,000 for this beautiful wagon? Leave it down in the comments. Now, if you guys enjoyed today's video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't. If you've been watching like some of you guys out there still haven't subscribed, I don't know what's stopping you. Hit the button, tickle the little bell. That way you know every time we put a new video up. That's all I got for you today. I'll see you guys in the next one.